the data desk. And that's because voters in Maryland, West Virginia, and Nebraska are casting ballots in their state's primary contests today. In the Free State, Senate candidates are vying to replace the retiring Democrat Ben Cardin. That party's primary is a tight one between Congressman David Trone and Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. The winner is set to face Republican Larry Hogan. The state's former governor casting his ballot earlier today. He's long been a Trump critic and has pitched himself as a moderate willing to bridge the divide in Washington. Anthony Salvanto and Scott MacFarlane join us now. Anthony is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys. Scott, of course, a CBS News congressional correspondent. We begin with you, Mr. MacFarlane. What are the differences, the big differences, between David Trone and Angela Alsobrooks?
Oh, they'll make a lot of arguments, Ed, about the many, many differences between them. But when it comes to policy and big picture of the U.S. Senate, they're very much aligned. Two progressive Democrats representing a very blue state. So really, the more fundamental, practical bottom line is money. David Trone is a wealthy man and has spent tens of millions of dollars on his congressional races and on this Senate primary just to win the nomination, and would enter a general election equipped with his own money to fund a very tough battle against potentially a very popular Republican. As he voted this morning in Potomac, Maryland, I asked Congressman Trone how much he'd be willing to spend. Take a listen.
We're going to spend whatever it takes to beat Larry Hogan. We have to hold the Democratic majority in the U.S. Senate. I mean, it's just that simple. We cannot go back to MAGA tax policies. We cannot go back to not having a chance to rectify the Dobbs decision. You know, we have big things we have to accomplish in Washington.
On Ed, they split up all the powerful endorsements. Mr. Trone has some, Ms. Alsobrooks has some. She has the governor behind her. She also has the endorsement of Emily's List, which supports women candidates who support women's reproductive rights. By all accounts, this promises to be close, and whoever wins the opportunity to try to beat Larry Hogan in Maryland. Very difficult thing.
We can't understate how nasty and personal this primary has gotten, because you're right. Otherwise, on policy, they agree on just about everything. But it's come down to strategy and race and gender and geography. And it's exactly what Democrats were hoping to avoid, because, Anthony Salvanto, this now stands the chance of becoming a competitive Senate contest. What exactly are you watching for in the Free State tonight?
Indeed, Ed. Start with this, and I'll go back to 2020. This is the presidential race in Maryland. The reason we don't talk about Maryland a lot is this blue section right here between D.C. and Baltimore. Democrats do exceptionally well, and they run up the score. But hold on, you mentioned Larry Hogan. Well, a lot of folks think, he's obviously the favorite there on the Republican side for the Senate seat. So let me show you his map from 2018, because this is what's going to have some Democrats nervous. This map just got a lot redder, especially this area in here between D.C. and Baltimore. Not only that, but he also managed to hold down Democratic margins as you get further out in those D.C. suburbs. And this is something we'll talk about more as the campaign rolls on. But the bigger point here then is, if Larry Hogan has a track record of winning in Maryland, then, we fast forward to tonight and we start saying, okay, what happens as this plays out? It might be a contest between whether Democrats are trying to aim to run up that score in and around D.C., Alsobrooks is from here, from Prince George's County, or David Trone, who represents this part of the state, and maybe run up the score a little bit more in some of those suburbs. I don't know, but that's the argument that they're making, and some of the vote patterns we see tonight might start to tell that story, Ed.
We shall see. There's also a competitive congressional primary in the 3rd District. Scott MacFarlane, it's a retiring Congressman, John Sarbanes, but one of the names, one of the faces involved in this is quite well known to viewers of the news. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, running for that seat. Tell us about his candidacy.
Well, he has raised nearly $5 million in his first run for office, and let that just sink in for a moment. One of the top challengers among the 24 others running for this nomination is a state senator named Sarah Elfreth, who represents Annapolis and kind of the eastern part of that congressional district. It can be very competitive. It likely will be very close. Whoever wins that primary is an overwhelming favorite in November. So we watch to see for the results there. But I'll also add, Ed, the race to succeed David Trone in that Western Maryland district also is competitive. And that may be one that's tight in November. That might be an actual general election fight, a rare thing in a blue state.
Yeah. Real quick, there is also a Senate primary in West Virginia tonight. We're expecting the state's governor, Jim Justice, to become the Republican nominee and probably run away with it. Anthony, set the West Virginia and Maryland Senate races against the rest of the Senate map, how they factor into which party might control the upper chamber come November.
Okay, real quick, this race on the Democratic side is notable. Who is not here, that is Joe Manchin. He's not running. That means folks generally think that this state will revert back to its very red setup, which is, Donald Trump has won this state easily. It's very Republican, which sets up a possible pickup, a likely pickup for the Republicans in the Senate race. You mentioned Neil Young earlier. We probably have to go back to the mirror ball Pearl Jam collaboration days of the 90s to find a time when the Democrats won West Virginia statewide there at the presidential level edge.
That was a deep reference there, Anthony Salvanto. Impressive. I applaud you for that one. Anthony Salvanto and Scott MacFarlane taking a look at politics here in the Mid-Atlantic, the DMV area, and how they'll factor into the national contests come November. Thank you both.